Hey, Hard 31 guys, it's Eric here. Hey, with our post of the day, Proverbs 13. All right, great chapter like they all are. This one I can really relate to is number 3. It says, "The one who guards his mouth preserves his life, and the one who opens his lips comes to ruin." So, have you ever been caught running your mouth about something where you're completely wrong or you look like a complete idiot? Raise my hand. I've done that, and it's like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube. It just doesn't work. And so one thing I've learned, and I'm not perfect at this, but I'm much better at it because the Lord's been faithful to complete his works in me, is he's been working on me with this, is to pause and keep my mouth shut, get all the facts before opening my mouth. A lot of times you can get on your soapbox, your self-righteous soapbox, and start talking about something and you're totally off base. And that's happened to me more than once. And, the Lord has corrected me on that is, okay, why don't you keep your mouth shut, learn everything you need to know, and then speak on it as I would have you speaking, as it speaking on it in a way that honors the Lord instead of just being a self-righteous jerk. And so that's one thing I think is important as we listen. And a lot of times when our emotions are starting to take over, like I talked about last week when I blew it with my wife, is anger, is to hold your anger and, take it to the Lord, pray and say some scriptures, because really when a lot of times when you want to speak, it's either your pride, you're not caring about what the other person says, you want to talk over them, that's your pride, you're making yourself more important than them. Or if it's anger, it's you're not getting your way, which is your selfishness. All right, it's just like, I'm not getting my way, so I need to speak up and I need to let you know how angry I am about this. So just important to just be, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So to be a good listener first, and not to speak before you know what you're going to say, and not to just speak to speak and dominate a conversation. The best servants are good listeners. And that kind of leads me into our second verse of the day. It's Matthew 20:28. "Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as ransom for others." But you remember Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. He was modeling the servant leader. We always hear that term, servant leader. And being a business owner, I lead people at work. I've led people in ministry. I've led people. Is that how can I serve you should be first and foremost. A lot of leaders, it's all about you underneath me, you're going to serve me. Well, Jesus had a totally different model that turned all that whole model upside down on its head. And so how can we serve and lead by, have that servant leadership and lead by serving, even like not making ourselves too good to do anything. You're not, like with one, I'll just give you an example. One of the things in my mind is with my trainers is a lot of times people that own training businesses are too good they get into their office, they don't train clients anymore. They don't do clean stuff up. They say, I'm the owner, I don't need to do that anymore. But to demonstrate hey, I'm not going to ask you guys to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And I'm going to be right there in the trenches with you. I can't be in there as much because I got to run the business, but I'm down here training clients right alongside you. I'm doing stuff. I'm dealing with the same things you guys are dealing with. I love that show, Undercover Boss, where they actually go and they actually pretend to be an employee and understand and empathize with the people that work under them. They don't just sit up in their office. I think that takes a lot of humility to do something like that. So, when you're leading people, lead with servitude, and then also look for opportunities every day. Don't just think about you, especially when you're out and about, think about places like when you go to a restaurant and you're being served by a server, but how can you serve that server? Hey, you did a great job today. Thanks for the great service. Or being really friendly to them. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I hear about people that follow Christ that are rude to servers and people out and about at businesses. I own a business, and I'll just be the first to admit not everything works perfectly. And sometimes somebody didn't show up for work or something happened at the business that day that throws them off. And you got to give people a little grace. God gives us grace. So we have to give people grace. So not having that, that arrogant attitude is I expect you to serve me. I know there's obviously times when there's blatantly bad service when somebody's not doing their job. But I know I saw this after COVID is a lot of the restaurants, a lot of the businesses were short on help and people were being impatient with them. And it's you know what, at least these people showed up to work, whereas a lot of people didn't. A lot of people decided they want to stay home and not work. And I was one of the attitudes I thought the Lord put on my heart is, hey, at least there's people here working. They're out working, doing something to earn a living. They're not sitting home using COVID or anything else as an excuse. And this business is open and they're doing the best they can. And so having that heart of a servant every day is just another way to make Jesus look good and to look like Jesus. So those are my 2 things for the day, guys. Be blessed. Love you guys. Thanks for all the prayers from you, Bo, and the posts. And congratulations, Jim, on being a grandpa. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.